Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melisa Galasso, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about a little bit about what we talked about last week at Spring Council. So the 2023 Spring Council took place in Washington, D.C., and it was kind of a fun experience. My very first council was a May council meeting back in 2020, and it was not as much fun because obviously it was during the pandemic and remote. So it was really awesome to get to see the swearing in and all the different things that can happen. And we resumed hill visits for the first time in a long time as well. So kind of a great opportunity to be part of council and to share a little bit of what we talked about. So as a reminder, council is the governing body of the AICPA. About 265 members. You can be coming up through the state side of the house, or like me, you can be an at-large member. So we met for 2 days last week in Washington, D.C. To talk a little bit about the future of the profession, to inaugurate our 110th chair, and to also do hill visits. So I'm going to just give you a little overview of what we talked about. So we kicked off the 2-day session with an update from Barry Melanson and Sue Coffey. Both of them gave a pretty interesting overview of what's going on in the profession. And the title of their session was Inspiration Through Uncertainty. And definitely a lot of conversation about technology, talk about the pipeline. We had conversations about tax. We talked about what was going on the Hill, things like the debt ceiling and ESG and other topics. And so probably one of the best ways to find out what's going on in the profession. I think of it like a professional issues update. We also had a really cool session on Accounting Plus research updates from the Center for Audit Quality. And that is one of the ways we're really trying to break into the pipeline and to get more students involved. And they kind of gave us an update on some of the work that they were doing, which was really interesting. So if you haven't taken a look at Accounting Plus yet, I highly recommend it. We have to do some administrative items as a board, and so we did have to go through and approve the nominating committee's nominations, which was very exciting. We have some really awesome people who will be joining, as well as some really cool options related to our future. They announced our new vice chair, which is going to be Carla from AAFC, which is, their AAFCPA, which is a phenomenal group and super excited. She's been an amazing person to kind of follow along and watch on social media, and I'm excited to see her as our next chair. But the coolest part of the day was likely the inauguration of the 110th chair of the AICPA, Corey Ramsey. He is from the California area, and he comes from business. So he works for Kaiser Permanente. But honestly, the coolest part was our lunch, where we got to hear all these people talk about them, mentors, mentees, George Willey, who is a phenomenal person, and the people from NABA, people from the Cal CPA Society. Like, just a really great introduction to him, and I wish him the best of luck this year. He looks like he's been well set up for success, and so going to be a great year. We had to have our finance and operations, so Carla McCall also did that update for us as she is the current chair of the finance committee, and so she gave a little bit of update on where we stood from a finance perspective, and the AICPA's finance statements are available as part of the governance structure for all members. But I think what was the best part of this opportunity to return back to Washington, D.C. and to resume hill visits post-COVID was the opportunity to go and meet. Now, unfortunately, I did not have an opportunity to meet with our congressmen and women, but I was able to participate in the preparation sessions for it. And I know the NCACPA and the Virginia Society of CPAs both had really great visits with their congressmen. And there were 4 topics that were selected for conversation. The first one was the Fiscal State of the Nation resolution, which would basically require Congress to sit down and listen to the Comptroller General give an update on the financial statements under the accrual basis. And so basically require a formal board meeting where we go over the financial statements, which was pretty much what we do for all other organizations, and it would be required for Congress. And so that's one of the ideas that they wanted to bring forward. Establishing the accounting profession as a STEM career pathway. One of the things that being under STEM would do would allow us to use some of the grants that are targeted at STEM for teachers and for other opportunities to grow the profession. The SAFE Act, which is the simplifying the tax filing extension process, would change, having to really do a calculation to do an extension and just allow 125% to be a safe harbor and reduce the cost and complexity of having to basically do a return simply to extend said return. So that was a popular topic. And then a big one, which is the Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act, which would expand the use of 529 plans to things like taking the CPA exam or taking continuing education related to that. So those were the 4 issues. We did not talk about the debt ceiling, although we had an amazing speaker on the debt ceiling. Too much of a hot potato, I would say, while we were up there to converse about. But it was definitely an interesting perspective, a very middle of the road discussion, which often can't find in the Capitol. So very fun. So obviously it was a pretty diverse set of opportunities for us. And so if you weren't able to join or you haven't been able to read a little bit about it, I wanted to share a little bit of what happens when we are sitting there at council. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.